looking at the portfolio, we did have a little. I did swap out of some stuff, so I did put in a little bit more money, but I had two sells and quite a few buys go in. So I kind of jumped out of Bank of America and Citi, stayed with JP Morgan. So probably one of the two banks. I do have BNS, which is Canadian bank. So it gives me a little bit of exposure in North America. That's basically what I went with. And of course, I put in a couple of buy orders that went in for today. In terms of the actual portfolio, we did have a little bit of a boost. Obviously, most of the stocks that I have been invested in for quite some time are depressed stocks. So things like JetBlue, which I spoke about, like CCL, Norwegian, Dave & Buster's, Play. That's where a lot of the gains came from. Whereas in stocks like Dave & Buster's and of course, JetBlue, Norwegian, Wells Fargo, of course, came back a little bit. Chewy got like most of the stocks that were benefiting like off of the internet, etc., because of no foot traffic in stores. And so a lot of those companies like Chewy, for example, took a big hit. I'm sure they will come back, but you'll see Chewy slid down. Even Chegg had a bit of a sell-off, as you can see. So a lot of these stocks like Apple, I think Microsoft had a sell-off. So most of the tech stocks, as you can see, pulled back fairly hard because they were the beneficiaries of the lockdowns, right? Of everything being closed. And most of the other stocks, like for example, Dave & Buster's, as you can see, Dave & Buster's had a huge run up. There were certain things I was trying to get out of, like for example, like I had JetBlue in my Webull account, and Webull was like down in the beginning. So I was trying to get out of JetBlue at the start. I only had 75 shares of JetBlue in this account, but I had like 225 of Norwegian and another 150 of American Airlines, and I couldn't get out of AA. I couldn't get out of and take all those profits. The stock was all the way here at 15. Same thing with Norwegian. Norwegian was up pretty high. Ended up unfortunately having to sell 21s. And I sold most of it at 21 and 21.50s, but I couldn't grab those 23s. I was kind of pissed that I couldn't get out. I lost, like, I shouldn't say I lost, but I couldn't realize the gain. So I probably missed out on about 600 or so. But it is what it is on the weekend. Surprising, because I had been holding a couple of these positions for a little bit. I was also I had, I think, 45 of Intel from down here. I started buying it on the gap down at 48. And then I just kept buying it, like little shares, like 5 here, 5 here, 5 here. And then I sold it at 40. I sold it at 47. So clipped about 3 points off of that. What I did go long, and this is for like short-term plays. I do some short-term plays. Typically, Webull is my swing trade. So I swing through Webull, but my long-term is through what's it called? M1. I also have an old account in with Thinkorswim that I had originally before switching over to M1. So I have about 16,000 now in that account that I still kind of like mini swing in that one. But for the most part, typically it's stocks that pay dividends that I have in most of my long-term, because I have quite a few different accounts kind of for different things. But I do actively swing trade through Webull, so I was kind of disappointed. That was the first time I've actually experienced issues with the platform. I think what else? I think that was it. But what I did want to talk about briefly was Workhorse. So I think I spoke about Workhorse last time. I did buy some options that unfortunately went out the money, but I ended up buying it. I had a bunch of little small orders because I was thinking there was a little bit of wiggle room between 1660 and about 1710 or 1720. So there was about 60 cents of wiggle room. So I had a bunch of fives, like 5 at 90, 80, 70, kind of like going all the way down till about 60, because I was trying to build up to a little bit over 100 shares. Unfortunately, the stock freaking ripped up. As you can see, I'm long 45 shares at 17.11, and the stock closed at like $19. So probably going to sell out of that tomorrow. I don't think it's going to come up that high. And then the other one that I'm kind of scaling into is it Planetar? So I do have a little bit more orders coming in. Looks like the stock is kind of holding around that 13.85. So I've got a bunch of small little orders. I'm probably going to try to get like 100, maybe 150 shares of this to see, because it looks like it's stair stepping up. So anyway, in terms of the long term, not much has changed. Let's jump back in here. Looking at the long term, so I do have sell orders for things like JetBlue. Like I said originally, most of this was just to realize the gains. That this is basically my risk portion of my portfolio, and basically the risk portion of the portfolio is to fund the dividends, right? So I take stocks that are going to have short-term plays, where I'm going to be able to make some gains and then push those gains into the primarily dividend portion of the portfolio, for the purpose of course, taking that money that I've gained on and then now gaining dividends off of that. And that's basically what I'm doing now. So I've got some sell orders for Play. I've got some sell orders for JetBlue. I have a buy order actually going in for, as you can see right here. So I'm going to sell about 1,800 of Play. I think Play will come down, so I might jump back into it. I'm selling about half of the JetBlue, and I'm dumping Foot Locker. Originally, I said I was going to keep it. I didn't see the kind of move that I was thinking that I was going to see, also because I missed my out at about 42, because I came home late from the hospital last night. So kind of made me a little bit late putting in all my orders for different accounts. But I'm more than likely gonna dump out of Foot Locker tomorrow, and then I'm gonna take those gains, because I've made about 200, and let me see. I don't know if it'll still show. It should still show. Where's Foot Locker? Foot Locker was here, my dividends. So here we go. So we're up 238. So on like the $680 that I put in, we've realized $230 in profits. So I can just take all those proceeds. I'm going to take all those proceeds, and I'm basically buying stocks. Basically what I'm filling out. My goal for Q1, first quarter 2021, is to have about 315 in terms of cash flow. Currently, I'm sitting at about 175 a month in terms of dividends every month. And so projecting for next year, my goal is to have at least 100,000 in the account, and then that will, I'm looking to generate about, let's say, 7,000 a year, which is going to bring me at around I think it's like 560. Let me see. So I'm looking for 7% in terms of yield. So divided by 12, that will bring me about to 580 in terms of dividends. Now, my goal for next year also is to then, because like I said in my previous videos, that my goal is to move abroad. I'm looking to move to Colombia within about the next, I'd say, 5 to 7 years, kind of like maxing out at 7. Like if I'm slacking, it's probably going to take me 7 years. If I really push for it, I can do it in 4, but I'm trying to do it in 5 to 7. The goal is to get this account to roughly about 300,000. I'm thinking more 400,000, so that I can get around between 3,500 and 4,000 a month just in cash flow. Now, what I want to do with this money right here is then put down a down payment on a building abroad, have somebody manage that next year once the pandemic and all that stuff is over, and then use this money right here that I get every month, and then fund basically paying off the mortgage while that is cash flowing me, because I need to prep, right? You always got to be prepared. You always got to be looking forward. This is basically the goal for this current account. As you can see, we are up today, obviously because of the gains. We're up about 2,900 in the account, and so I'm basically taking a lot of that stuff out. I'm putting in, filling out 300 more into gains, and then that will give me about $7 a month in cash flow. So gain pays, I believe it's 7 cents a month. So this is one of the, so I basically filled out for tomorrow for things like gain, main, and LTC, because they pay a dividend every single month. And so that allows me to allocate the cash every single month a little bit more quickly. And so those are the ones that I'm kind of filling out between Gain, Main, and LTC, and then putting a bit more into companies like Flow. Flow had a little bit of a pullback here today, and so I want to take advantage of that. It does pay a little bit of a dividend, but it's not too bad. It's, you look at looking at the chart, as you can see, it's fairly steady over the past several years. You can see that for the most part, the stock looks like it has an average of about $20 for over the past 7 years or so. And I have been watching and following and trading this stock. And so it does pay a little bit of a dividend. 20 cents is not too bad. So I want to take advantage of the sharp down turn down. Obviously grab some cheap stock from 24s down to 22.30. So that's basically some of the orders that are going in for tomorrow. Let me see if I can take a look. What else am I buying for tomorrow? So buying a little bit more tea, Iron Mountain, like I said, Gain, LTC, and then putting some more money into Flow. I am taking advantage of the pullback in Chewy. I do like Chewy. I do think that it will do well. So I'm buying a little bit more. It's like $60 now. So I'm basically picking up 2 shares. And like I said, we're going to be swinging out of these and using the profits and investing them someplace else until I find taking a little bit of advantage of Enbridge. I do like Enbridge, and of course we're adding a little bit into tech. I'm not sure where that's going from. I forgot where I added this to, but it is what it is. I thought I put this into something else. Oh, I think this is the. Actually, I don't know what this is. I'm gonna have to take a look, see why. I forgot why I put that $50 in there, but it's whatever. It's $50. Not gonna worry about it. That's basically what I'm doing this week with the portfolio. Is basically trying to maximize all these gains and then throw them back into dividend plays. We did see a little bit of a gain in things like CCL. I was debating because I was down about 200 and change, and now I'm up. So I was thinking of basically pulling out of it. But I'm not sure if the vaccine news is real. I may hold on to it and may start really adding into CCL, or go a little bit more into Norwegian. Take everything out of CCL, go more into Norwegian because I like Norwegian better than Carnival Cruise. I'll have to wait and see how this week kind of plays out, and we'll see how the portfolio does over the week. That's basically what I'm looking for in terms of, like I said, with Planetar. I'm still looking to get in with Workhorse. I'm probably going to just take profits on Workhorse. It's only like $81. I'm up about 2 points on the 45 shares. I want to get out of that and look for something else. Maybe I'll jump back in and do some shorting in Neo, or looking to get into a little bit more in Planetar Technologies. I would definitely check that one out. We might see a little bit of a bump there. Or if you're looking for something like, for example, Plug has quite a bit of more to the upside. We may see a little bit of a pullback, but for the most part, it's, you know, sideways to the upside, sideways to the upside, a little bit of a pullback to the resistance, and then to the support, and then immediately slingshot up. So we might see the exact same thing here, where Plug could pull back again to the 19s and then come back up. Have to wait and see. Anyways, gonna leave this here. It's gonna be a lively week. Be sure to pay attention. Try not to pay too much attention to what's going on in the news. Focus on the charts. The charts tell the stories. If you know which stocks that you want to be in, focus on the charts and play your prices. Wait for your opportunities, because they will be there. I guarantee you. If you just exit, have a little bit of patience, and then of course you will do. I'm looking forward to seeing. I was literally holding on to Norwegian and American Airlines for quite some time. I was sitting there looking at it, and I was like, this is a waste of time. I was like, I'm holding on to this. I could have just taken this money and put it somewhere else. I was down like 600 or something at one point in Norwegian, and then ended up clapping out right at the end. So I was long here. I was long here, actually. I bought it at like 1775, like way back here. I had bought it way back here thinking it was going to come up, and I bought a little bit more, held, and then finally I was like, all right, it's time to get out, and do something else. But we still have a little bit in the other account, so we're going to have to wait and see. Anyway, this video is getting a little too long. We'll be back, probably do another video at the end of the week, because I know we're going to see a lot of activity. So I'm probably going to try and do one of these for the next coming week after week. Basically put out some of the plays that I'm looking at. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.